Hey guys, Creator Mom. So yesterday I watched this movie. It was from 2003 or 4, I think. It was very wholesome. I never watch movies like that really, but when I put it on, I was drawn to just keep watching. And it was called Back When We Were Grown-Ups. I think that's what it was called, Back When We Were Grown-Ups. And I don't know this actress's name, but she's an older actress. She was older already in this movie, but she's I like her. I feel like sometimes you can sense the energy of the actor. I feel like this I felt like this role in this movie was close to her actual personality, but I could be wrong. Anyways, so I felt like I saw bits of me and kind of like how I handle situations in her a little bit, and I respected it. I respected it. So what happened was when she was young, she was going to college. She was dating this one guy and they were supposed to get married. They were engaged. But then she met another guy and fell madly in love. And she got married to this other guy in like 2 weeks. I did that, but it wasn't probably such a love story like hers. But at any rate, she gets married to this guy who actually happened to be a widow. He had three daughters who were like 8, 9, 10, something like that. And then she had her own daughter by him as well. And what happened was he passed away like not even long. She said in the movie she was 26 when he passed in a tragic car accident. And so they probably was only married for like 5 or 6 years, I would guess. Sadly. So anyway, she stayed widowed a long time. The kids were grown, and what happened was his family had a business where they had a house or something, like some type of homey looking place where they would have parties, and they would let people rent it out for parties, and they would host it for them, like funerals, birthdays, graduations, whatever. So she stayed doing this family business after he passed away. She took over, and his great uncle lived in that house too, and she ended up taking care of him. He was like turning 100 years old in the movie. So she stayed very connected to the family, obviously, and continued to raise his girls and her own girl and everything. And such a sweet woman. And so there's this scene where so her mom is like berating her in a way, and she's like, I don't know why you married that guy. You changed so fast. Like, and this is already years down the road. It's like, Mom, get over it. But her mom was super old. She's probably like 70 or 80. And she's like, whatever happened to that guy? You guys were in love. You guys were soulmates, the guy that she was in college with. And she didn't talk back to her mom or anything, which I found interesting. I was like, she seems so patient and full of love and non-reactive. And she was just like, kind of just considering what her mom was saying, even though her mom was being like out of pocket and kind of rude. She was like, that guy was your soulmate. You changed when you married that other guy. She didn't have any respect for the journey or the path that her daughter took. And her daughter is a sweet ass person. And her mom insisted that she was supposed to be with this other guy, right? So it made her think, like, oh, what's this guy up to nowadays? So she ends up reaching out to this guy who she was supposed to marry a long time ago just to see what he's up to nowadays. And she thinks so they start talking, but this guy is fucking super weird. He's awkward. He's like, something's wrong with him. Like, he's not very nice to her. He's not super loving. He's kind of like cold and like, for instance, she had him over for dinner to have him meet her whole family, you know, and they were laughing about something over the dinner table, and she was laughing about something, telling a story, and he was just like, not even laughing, just real like weird. And then this whole time while I'm watching her interaction with this guy, I'm like, oh my God, like I hope she does not like stay with this guy. Like he's fucking, something's wrong with him. Like, you know. Anyways, then she starts thinking back. She starts remembering how she felt when she was around him. She goes back to this scene in a library. They're sitting in the college library studying, and he's got all his markers meticulously set on the table, and he reached over and like fixed a piece of her hair that was like out of place. He was like, oh, okay, like now that's better, you know. Very like almost OCD, but very cold, you know, and just she remembered that. And I think she remembered, oh, like that's why I left and ran away with this other guy, because that felt like love and warmth, and that was just like, just kind of don't have anything better. But she had forgot that. But she remembered after interacting with this guy again, she was getting flashbacks and things. And then, so after she invites him over for dinner, it was kind of like the last straw for her. But she doesn't tell him off. She doesn't say, oh, you're just being weird, or like, she just lets him stay for dinner. And then she's like, you know what? I'm going to go to bed now. And she walks him to the door. And she's like, you know, so-and-so, I think that this is going to be our, you know, our last time seeing each other. She just graciously was like, goodbye, you know, sorry to do this to you again. But it's like, I remembered again why I wasn't with your ass. But she didn't feel the need to go into deep explanations. Like, when we were doing this, you did that. Or she just realized internally that, oh, yeah, this is not for me. And she just was like, goodbye, you know? And I love that she didn't feel that she doesn't feel the need to really confront about his behaviors, but she observed how he is in the behaviors and made a decision within herself that this wasn't going to work out for her. This wasn't aligning. She didn't have to say why or provide reasons in hopes that he would change his behavior. She just said, sorry, like we're not, this is not going to work. We're not going to be seeing each other again. So I admired that. But another part in the movie where she reminded me of myself is that at their birthdays and at family occasions, she liked to say rhymes. And I'm like, oh my God, that reminds me of myself. But although my rhymes come out more, sometimes I'll joke around in my house and with my kids and like say dumb rhymes out loud and, you know, actually do it in a trying manner. But usually my rhymes come out inadvertently. And that reminded me of myself too. I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm seeing myself in this movie. And nobody liked it though. No one really liked it. Her kids, stepkids, whatever. They're like, oh God, there she goes again with her rhymes. And that really hurt her feelings, you know? But she never was rough with them. She never said, why do you always got to talk to me like that? You could say she didn't stick up for herself. But that wasn't really the case. I think that she allowed it to hurt her. You know, she kind of dealt with her emotions. She just separated herself, went out to the porch, cried a little bit. Somebody else from the family came out and said, oh, you know how they are, you know. Because I think people can find themselves maybe agitated when looking at her saying, why isn't she sticking up for herself? And why isn't she being more bold and saying, hey, don't talk to me like that? You know, it wasn't because it wasn't in her nature to do that. She dealt with her own emotion, realized you know what, that's the way the kids are sometimes. She just had acceptance about who the people were around her, you know. Um, and, you know, she knew that, I think she knew she was willing to love those people unconditionally. Like her stepkids, you know, which were like her own kids, her kids, she was willing to almost take shit from. You know, she was willing to love them unconditionally and kind of just realize that this is who these people are sometimes, and you know, forgive them, you know. But I like how with that guy, that, you know, she knew that wasn't really necessary. It was something she was trying out, and she was willing to part ways. She didn't have to stick around with him just because he wanted to keep dating her. She just said goodbye. Like, this is not for me. You're not aligning. She didn't say all that, but that's what she was communicating. So, you know, yeah, really interesting movie, really wholesome movie, and I like this actress. I don't know, it just reminded me that like I don't have to be that person that's telling people off. That I can be that person who, that when I encounter something I don't like and is not aligning and I don't feel the person is treating me right, that I could just simply walk away. I don't have to explain myself or make a show of it or tell them off and make sure they know that I told them. Like, whoa, I'm not messing with that chick. Like, I don't have to be that person. You know, I can be who I am, just like this lady in this movie was who she is. It was another funny part in the movie where he wanted her to come meet his daughter, Beatrice, who was totally mean. But she said, okay, cool. She's like, should I wear anything specific to this dinner party or whatever? And maybe it was kind of her fault for asking him if she should wear anything different, but it kind of gave her a clue at any rate, because he could have said, no, just be yourself, wear whatever you want, you know, or this is not like we're not going to a fancy restaurant or anything. But he said, could you maybe not wear such like hippie like clothing? Because, you know, I want my daughter to focus on your personality and not really your clothing. And I thought to myself, well, isn't someone's clothing part of their personality in a way, you know? So that was like one clue that he wanted, that she felt like she had to maybe be something different or dress differently for him, you know? That he wasn't really like happy about her like hippie clothing. Anyways, I was glad at the end of the movie when she just let that guy go. And it's just one of those movies that nothing really happens in. It's just like a lot of little stuff. But there's not like no big plot. There's no it's not like a big thriller. It's just like a very wholesome movie. And I just really enjoyed it and I want to share that. All right, peace.